Well, good morning and welcome to Daily Mass on this Monday, October the 13th, 2014, which is Monday of the 28th week of Ordinary Time. And we find ourselves this morning continuing to unpack the series that we introduced at Mass just yesterday, which is a new series on seasons. And of course, yesterday we discussed that every season has a beginning and an end. Every season has a very distinct personality. And every season has something to accomplish. And over the next 7 weeks, we'll unpack the influence of seasons in our life. And just a real encouragement to us that when you know what season you're in, you know exactly not only how to respond in life, but you know where God is probably working in your life and how to cooperate with the grace that God is trying to give you, trying to bless you with. And probably no one in the Bible illustrates the beauty of seasons more than Abraham. In Galatians, which is the first reading today, St. Paul talks about Abraham. And he talks about how Abraham had 2 sons with 2 women, and almost in 1 or 2 sentences in the first reading today, St. Paul summarizes the life of Abraham. Abraham went through seasons in his life. He went through seasons where he was learning about God. And that season had a beginning and an end. It had a distinct personality, and God was trying to accomplish something. He was trying to not only reveal himself to Abraham, but to teach Abraham who he was as the one true God. Abraham went through seasons where he was waiting. You know, this promise that God gave him that he would not only have his own son, but he would be the father of nations, that not only would he be given his own son, but he would be given many descendants, as numerous as stars in the sky, the scriptures say. Abraham went through seasons of waiting, and that waiting had a distinct personality. Of course, it had a beginning and an end, and it had something to accomplish, for God was forming Abraham's heart as Abraham waited. Abraham went through seasons of struggle, where he struggled to believe the promise would unfold. And of course, some of that's referenced as Abraham in the struggle took matters into his own hand with his maidservant, and of course that is his son Ishmael. Whether it's a season of waiting or struggle, a season of revelation, there were other seasons that Abraham went through. All of those seasons had a beginning and an end. They had a distinct personality, and they had something to accomplish in Abraham's life. One of the things that God is always going to want to do in the season that we're in is bring us to freedom. And in the last line in today's first reading, we hear from St. Paul in Galatians, "For freedom Christ has set us free. So stand firm and do not submit again to the yoke of slavery." I really want to encourage us today, my friends, that God always wants to bring us to freedom. And inevitably, no matter what season you're in life, that season is trying to bring us and bring you into greater freedom. Now, of course, that's easy for us to see when we're in a season of blessing, huh? We can see that God is bringing us into greater freedom when we're in a season that is filled with grace and filled with consolation, filled with joy. It's real easy for us to follow the Lord. But when you're in a tough season, when you're in a season of struggle, when you're in a season of being purified, it can be very difficult for us to trust that we're in that season because God is trying to bring us to freedom. God only wants one thing, and that is our communion with him. And if we're going to be in communion with God, God's presence in our life is only going to elicit the grace that's necessary for us to receive him. And God wants to bring freedom in your life. Freedom from anxiety, freedom from burden, freedom from anything that would prevent us from following him, from falling in love with him, and from experiencing a relationship with him. Every season in life inevitably has as its aim our freedom. So the encouragement today is that no matter what season of life you find yourself in, God's trying to bring you freedom. So we don't need to resist that. We don't need to resent the season we're in, especially if we can understand that the inevitable grace that God is trying to give us is freedom. Now, I want to say something very specific to those of us who might find ourselves in a season of struggle right now. Imagine what your life would look like if you were free. And if God could give you freedom, even if it was given to you through the struggle, would you let him do that in your life? And I know that if you're in a season of struggle, like I really know that it's difficult to be there. And I just really want to encourage you today to be not afraid. God's not trying to punish you. God is certainly not, quote unquote, trying to give you more than you can handle. God doesn't do that. God only is with you to bring you freedom. If you're in a season of struggle right now, just be not afraid. Freedom awaits. God is with you. And inevitably, he's trying to bless us. Let's spend a couple moments today asking ourselves, what season are you in? And consider that at the end of that season, there only awaits one thing: Jesus Christ, who is trying to bring you freedom. God bless you.